Well, good morning and welcome to Adventures in Awakening here in Blackstone, Virginia, the center of the world. But then you too are at the center of the world. And what is the center but zero? If you're at the center of the world, it's zero. Zero means center. Everything's, all mathematics starts with zero. You got zero, and then you got positive going to infinitive, and then you got negative going to infinity. Zero means they're balanced, right? Zero is the equal equation. Both sides are equal or balanced. That's zero. So let's talk about that. This is not my martini, it's my monkey martini. So we play with opposites. This is my juice, but people will look at this without listening to it and think I'm drinking a martini in the morning, but that's all right. So the title of this talk is Take Your Finger Off the Scale. One of my favorite, in fact I found it, I'm going to post it with this, is a Norman Rockwell image of the butcher. And there's a scale, butcher's scale, and there's a woman buying the meat, and there's the butcher, and he's holding it down to get a little weight on his side, and she's pushing it up on the other side. So they're balanced. That each one is balanced. And I thought that was such a great image because the butcher with the finger on the scale is a metaphor for why things don't go right. Why am I always out of balance? When there's balance or zero, there's no effort. There's no impediment. All the lights are green. Everything's working. The door is open. The obstacles are gone. No impediments. Vast space, no impediments. There's a lightness, a liberation beyond gravity. Like going to space is a metaphor for being liberated from the weight of the butcher's finger. The butcher's finger is always trying to fix it, always trying to give me a little edge, always trying to restore the weight to my side, to give me a little more weight. Take a little more, take some from the other. Trying to restore balance. But see, the butcher's finger metaphor is that the butcher wants the balance to be towards him and not towards the other. In other words, to be favorable to him. You see, that's where the butcher's finger is. And of course, the butcher is a metaphor for the ego. For the ego, our sense of self, all value slips towards me. And it's valuable for me because it's less for the other. So there's always this idea that for me to get more, the other has to get less, you see. So the more I get, the less the other is. So on the value scale, I can't be equal. Because there's no value in equal. There's no value in zero. There's got to be one. That one, in order for there to be value, there has to be a one. And if there is, on math, think about it. So if you got zero, and I got one positive here, I got value, I got one, I'm number one, there's going to be an opposite over here. You see, because reality, life, the cosmos, is balanced, is zero. So no matter how much value you put on this side with the butcher's scale, you see, you're going to have an opposite number on the other side. And that restores balance. However, in the butcher's mind, that negative means I've lost value. So zero means I've lost value, so now I got to add another number. I add another finger. I got 5 now. I'm more valuable than you. And guess what happens? Immediately, the universe restores balance. Oh, crap. I got to add 6 to get value. See, there's no value in zero. There's no value when everything is equal, when there's equanimity. And isn't that ironic? So there would be no value in peace. There'd be no value in balance. When everybody's the same, there's no value. I got to have more value by adding something more to it, you see. But immediately, you got to see this. You got to see this like you were looking at a teeter-totter in the park. You could see, when you watch a teeter-totter with the kids on it, boom, 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 that they love destroying balance. In other words, balance would be when it's like that, and there would be no teeter-totter. But each one wants to be up. And when the other's up, the other's down. So now this one's got to be up, and that one's down. So you got this. Now that's the butcher's scale, you see. I put my finger on it to get what's just the opposite. But in order to be up, you got to be down. But immediately balance is restored, so I got to put more up on it. And of course, the other side is doing the opposites when you're in a relationship. So it becomes a teeter-totter. And you have to understand consciousness then as a teeter-totter, a dynamic teeter-totter going forward in time. So I'm always feeling out of balance, and I got to add something to it. But something's always being taken away. What the fuck, you see? Just when I get all the bills paid, everything's in balance. The car breaks down. Oh, God. There's no end to it. But the irony is, when everything is zero, there's no value for you. So the problem is the butcher. The problem is the butcher. If there was no butcher putting his finger on the scales would be zero, and you would feel the lightness of being. But the ego cannot tolerate that because it has to feel some weight. The ego, the sense of self, has to have some value, has to be something, and something weighs. Something must weigh something. In order to be of value, it has to weigh more than another something. So the ego is always adding a little weight to the scale, and the illusion that if it adds a little weight, it will become zero and at peace. You see the illusion here? You see it? You can see it in yourself, in everyday life, How we're always putting our finger on the scale to add a little weight to me, a little value to me, a little more rightness, a little more certainty, to be up a little bit, to be a little better, a little more right, you see. So we put that finger on the scale, but the finger is unconscious. I don't even know I'm doing it, you see. It's just what the ego does. It has to feel special. It has to have a little more weight. And so people get puffed up on their weight with their rank, with their certainty, with their skill, with their opinion, with me, with my knowledge, get a little puffed up on Facebook. I want a little weight, so I'm going to knock down that other comment, that other opinion, so I'm a little up, you see. That's the way the teeter-totter goes. And the irony is that you can't play and you can't not play. Life is a teeter-totter. Life is a scale. And so, but it's dynamic. It's not like fixed. It's like going. It's like a tumbleweed. It's like a boulder going. It's like a tin can being kicked down the road. It's dynamic. So this wheel of imbalance is rolling, you see, because we're always trying to restore balance by adding a little weight. We try to restore balance, zero, peace, love, by adding a little weight to me. So I will feel balance, you see. So what we want to do is I want to feel balance. I want to feel peace. I want to feel I've arrived. I want to feel special. But I don't feel it, so I got to add a little something in order to feel it. When I add a little something, remember the zero? A little negative is added to restore balance. So I'm always at balance, but I don't feel it, so I create an imbalance in my effort to feel balance. And of course I never can, because whatever weight I add to feel zero or balance adds a little negative on the other side. But I see that other side as somebody did it to me. I was at peace until that guy did it. I was fine until somebody hurt me. Now I got to hurt him to restore balance. So on the teeter-totter goes, you see. Why? Because I think I must feel balance. I think I must feel the experience of being at one-ment or being love. I must feel love or I don't have it. I must have it. I must feel balance. I don't feel it. I must have it. I don't feel at peace, but I must have it. You see, so we keep adding, we keep trying to feel what we already are. We already are at balance. Except we're not looking at it from the park bench. We're looking at it from inside the teeter-totter. We're looking at it as one half of the teeter-totter. I got to be up, he's down. You see, so we look at it from inside the conscious mind, which is seeking balance, instead of that little aha, which sees the whole mind, conscious mind. The aha, the satori, the eureka, is when you suddenly, in one instant, the light comes on and you see the whole game. You see the game of the butcher. You see the butcher with his finger on the scale. I see you. Where does that see you come from? A second, a flash. You see yourself as the butcher. And when you see it, the finger comes off, and guess what? You're at balance. You're back at zero. And you never were. You never left. Thanks for dropping in.